Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of Talmbout Rasslin right here on the Black Phoenix Network. I'm your host, the untouchable J.R. Atkins, and this is your primary destination for wrestling conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, we're about a month in now. I've done about four episodes now. And we are finally going to talk about AEW. I've been teasing for weeks. I'm done. It's 4 episodes. Teasing for weeks to finally do it. And here we are. We're finally going to talk about AEW. AEW is my favorite wrestling promotion. I've mentioned before that I typically go for the underdogs, the alternative, the competition, if you want to call it that. WWE doesn't like to call it that, even though they're trying to get rid of AEW. But that's neither here nor there because that's not what we're talking about this week. This week is all about AEW. And it's been a pretty fantastic week as an AEW fan. Sunday was Forbidden Door, another home run of a pay-per-view. Not a PLE, a pay-per-view. Another home run. Dynamite was pretty good. As I'm recording this right now, I'm pretty sure Death Before Dishonor is actually good. I mean, it's not even, I'm pretty sure. I know it's actually going on now. So a lot happening in AEW where there Forbidden Door was in the O2 Arena in London. I think I have to put that on my bucket list. Watching a wrestling show in London, period, is actually on my bucket list. I've been to London twice, but I didn't catch any wrestling, believe it or not. AEW wasn't a thing yet. WWE wasn't on tour. I would have had to catch something local, which I probably could have had I tried, but I didn't try hard enough. And I was by myself, and it was whatever. I didn't go. But that is definitely on my bucket list to watch a wrestling show in London. That's on there. Whether it's a local indie or something, or whether it's a big show. They'll be back in London for All Out next year. All In next year. As I'm pretty sure I probably said, I attended All In this year in Texas because I wasn't gonna miss that. Easily the best wrestling show I've ever been to. Best, and I've been to a lot. I've been to All Out in Chicago in 2022. I went to several WrestleManias. I've been to a Rumble 2010 when the Edge returned. I was at SummerSlam in Nashville in 2022 as well. That sounds right. Yeah, definitely sounds right. So I've attended a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of shows, all in Texas. Easily the best I've ever been to. Would have loved to have done Wembley that first year. But these London trips are a little tricky. It was a reason I could go there. That's neither here nor there. That's not what you hear. So anyway, so they were in London for Forbidden Door Sunday. And now they've started a residency at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia now. If you didn't know, I am an Eagles fan. I'm sure if you pay attention to the Easter eggs, you can see I am an Eagles fan. Big champ energy. You know what it is. And so I actually went to Philly. I haven't been to Philly, or I hadn't been. I went to Philly last year. I didn't go to Mania. I did go to Philly WrestleMania week. I really went for Wale Mania because I wanted to go to Wale Mania because I'd never been. And it was super dope. And I hate that they're not going to have it anymore. But I went just to hang out, basically. To the, I don't even know what I keep blanking on what they call it now because it's not Access anymore. But I went to that, and then like I said, I went to Wale Mania that night. I literally was there for a day, and then I turned around and came back home. So that was cool. From there, I say all that to say, sorry, I drew a blank there. Say all that to say, them being in Philly, AEW being in Philly this week, and listen, there's this sicko shirt. Anybody who's watching this in Philadelphia, if you're going to the AEW show, get me a sicko shirt. I'll pay you. I will pay you. I'll pay for the shirt. I'll pay you. Okay. I need that shirt. I'm actually tempted to go to Philadelphia myself because I've never been to the 2300 arena. Again, I was in Philly and there were shows at the 2300 arena, but it never dawned on me to think to go because I wasn't going to be there. I probably was gone already by the time that show happened because I was only there for, like I said, I was only there for a day. And I was there for a very particular reason. So I'm actually tempted to go to catch one of these dynamites. And if it's the last week, the dynamite and collision that they're going to have. So, excuse me. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But the residency's off to a great start. Dynamite was great. Super, especially for a follow-up show to a pay-per-view. They have that problem sometimes that they're like the follow-up show, the Fallout show or whatever, like doesn't really hit the same notes that they were hitting before leading up to the pay-per-view. This time they did a good job. And I think the reason they did a good job this time was because All Out is like right around the corner. So they have to go ahead and start building for that immediately before we're going to get there. So I think they did a really good job of that. I'm not going to do necessarily a review show, but I will give you my thoughts on Forbidden Door, Dynamite, and just a lot of the goings on that are happening in AEW right now, and the wrestling world at large. And I'm going to try to not talk about WWE that much because again, that's not why we're here. That's not why we're here. We are here to talk AEW. So we'll start with, first of all, before I even get into that, thank you for tuning in. I've gotten I'm so excited to talk about AEW. I forgot to do all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. Again, I'm your host, the Untouchable J.R. Atkins. Thank you for tuning in to talk about wrestling. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Phoenix Network. Thank you for watching this podcast for the last 4 weeks. Look, I've been talking about doing a podcast, especially a wrestling podcast, for years. We're finally here. And so it means so much to me that you would tune in and just listen to what I have to say, rambling and ranting and raving for an hour every week, right? And again, eventually these will be live, and eventually I'll have guests. We're doing a lot of changes. I'm still trying to nail down how I want this to look, nail down how I want this to feel, the process, the microphones, the cameras. As you see this time, I'm rocking a completely different thing here. I've had this for a while. I've never used it, and here we are. And then, even in that, I had to do a little rigging. So there's that too. Again, there's going to be another change next week, or in the next coming week that I'm working on that I'm going to implement going forward. So again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for riding with me on this journey as I try to figure this out. They say the best thing to do is just to start, and I've started. So here we are, right? So thanks again for that. If you've tuned in to any of the What's Up Wednesday articles that I've been writing, I talk about different stuff, politics, religion, dating, wrestling, pop culture, whatever, right? Whatever's clever, as they say. So this past week, I actually discussed just randomly the 90s because I love the 90s, right? So that was this week's. Next week will be something different. I have something, well, you'll see. Just stay tuned. Also, my new series, Manifesto Mondays. It's an audio series where basically I break down some of the songs that I've written, um, either telling, breaking down the lyrics, breaking down the beat, breaking down the stories behind it, give you some behind the scenes stories. You know, uh, got a really dope one coming up this Monday for Memorial Day, aka not on one day. And now that I'm saying that, I should have did a different song, but it's okay. It's okay. So tune in for that. If you've tuned in for that so far, thank you so much. If you haven't, you still got time to do it. And most importantly, I want to make sure that it flashes on the screen right about now. Like, share, and subscribe, please. Okay. You have no idea, or maybe you do, how important it is to get that like, to get that share, to get that subscribe. Okay. I need that so much. The only way this platform grows is with your help. So if you're watching this, make sure you go ahead, hit that like button, share it, tell your friends, and make sure you subscribe to the Black Phoenix Network and keep tuning in, okay? Because I'll have more stuff. The more people I get, the more content I create. All right. I'm just, we're building. We're building and we're growing. And I want you all who have tuned in so far to be a part of that journey. So thank you so much. Thank you for all you've done. Now that that's out of the way, let's get back to it. So let's talk Forbidden Door. Okay. Forbidden Door was from the O2 Arena. It really felt big in that arena. I can't even begin to like put into words. It really felt like a big deal because it is a big deal. The O2 Arena is huge, right? Um, and I'm pretty sure they sold it out. I would have loved to have been there for this show as well. So I actually somehow, I think I misjudged the 0 hour or something. So by the time I like turned it on, we were in the middle of like the first match, which I found out was the first match. I guess I didn't miss anything. And the first match on the 0 hour was Paragon with Kyle O'Reilly, Roddy Strong, El Desperado, and Yuya. And they defeated Crew, which is Action Andretti, Leo Rush, and Hechicero and Josh Alexander. Again, I think I missed half of this. I know towards the end I actually got the ending, so there's that. But I missed like the beginning parts of it. So, but typical 8-man fair that Tony's been doing a lot of these days, and I can't blame him. I mean, look, they're high paid. It's a very specific thing with Tony Khan. When Tony likes something, it's almost like Vince in a way. When Tony likes something, he will do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. And fortunately, the things that he likes aren't off-putting. At least not for me. Some people don't like it. I've never had that problem. So the things that Tony does, when he likes something, he does it. You can tell he'll run it into the ground. And then he'll be off of it, and then he'll do it every so often. So right now, the 8-man all-star matches are one of those things. He also likes the new like fatal 4-way, $50,000, such and such amount of money type match. He likes that now too. I've noticed. So hey, shout out to Tony for that. He likes it. I love it. People in this match, Paragon, it's standard 0 hour fair. Paragon doesn't really have a direction right now, especially since Adam Cole is indefinitely out. But the tag division, people talk about like the tag division in AEW needing some work, and it does, but it's not like they don't have the teams, right? Like Paragon is a top-notch team. They could absolutely be your tag team champions if you just so choose to go that way. And considering where we are now, I don't see why we couldn't. I think this is the time to heat that tag team division up. A lot of people have said that. And I don't think it's cold. I think they have the teams, and you just have to focus on giving those teams the opportunity to to do what they do, right? So Paragon um, needs a little direction. I think getting into that tag team division tighter. Were they even in the tag team tournament? I'm sure they had to have been, right? Maybe against the Bucks. I don't know. No, there's somebody else. So I mean, maybe no, they had the Bucks had the outrunners in the first round. So was Paragon even in that tournament? That definitely should have been. If they weren't, that's tragic. Um, Same thing kind of with Crew. Crew feels weird to me because I almost like I don't understand the purpose of Crew beyond like the top flight view. But I guess I mean, whatever. Leo is amazing. They're amazing wrestlers. They're fast. They do things um, that defy logic a lot of times. But I think I just don't understand them as a team. Not even necessarily understand them as a team. It's fine. I don't know what I don't know what they are. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. I don't know what they are. It's like, okay, all right, whatever this is, they jail in the ring though. So there's that, and that's I guess the most important thing. And of course the Don Callis family, which is the most OP faction in wrestling. Period. Eh, We'll definitely hear more about that as the night goes on, but absolutely OP. And it's amazing that that has become a thing. They're probably more OP than the Death Riders, at least right now, um, because there's a ton of them motherfuckers. Basically, like the Don Callis family roster is massive. Okay, we'll get to that later. Moving on. Second match on 0 Hour was another uh, multi-man match. Gates of Agony and Ricochet beat Jet Speed and Michael Oku. I've heard a lot about Michael Oku, but I've never seen him in the ring. Prior to this, I've heard that name plenty of times, so I'm aware of who he is. I've never seen his work. Seeing him in this match, okay, and from what I've heard, he signed to AEW, so look forward to seeing more of him. But man, there were like two spots that he did that I cringed and jumped. Cringed and jumped. That's the best way I can describe what happened. I don't even remember what the second one was. But the first, and I'm sure I wasn't alone in this, the first is when he got pounced over the top rope in the middle of like kind of doing a almost a Fosbury flop kind of thing almost. I thought he died. I thought he landed on his head and I thought he died. As I get older, wrestling is so tough for me to watch that way because I'm so oh people landing on their head, people like I don't want to see these gruesome injuries. So I'm always like, oh no, that was one. I thought he was dead. Fortunately, he wasn't. Got up, finished the match. Um, Again, Jet Speed loses. I like Jet Speed as a team. I'm interested to see where Kevin Knight goes. I see a lot of upside for him as well. Of course, Speedball is Speedball. You know, he's gonna do what he does. I really like the Gates of Agony Ricochet team, and I think they should be the one to beat the Ops for the 6-man for the trio championships. I do. I almost want to say I don't know why they didn't do it on Dynamite, but I kind of do. I kind of. But they're doing really good work. Um, People, listen. Anybody that's talking trash about Ricochet and saying that, oh, he's not doing anything now in AEW, and he was man. Ricochet is 100 times better than he's ever been. Maybe not in ring, and that's a stretch because I think he probably is. But the character works there now. Him as a heel, him as a little shit heel is killing it, killing it. And now he got two heavies with him. Like, and everything that's happening with him is A1. It comes up later, and I don't think I'll spoil anything, but I kind of want to keep it in order, so I'll stick to my points when I get to my points. But will say the reason for his character being what it is in AEW and the through line that they're creating with it, A1. A1. But I'll get to it. You'll see what I mean. You'll get what I want to say. Moving on. Triangle of Madness. Another, again, multi-woman tag match. Triangle of Madness, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, Thekla. Tekla, is it Tekla? Tekla. I think it's Tekla. Which I like. I like them as a unit. And Megan Bayne defeated Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, Queen Aminata, Willow Nightingale. Another the women's division in AEW super stacked. Okay, this is like third tier, I guess, in the women's division thing, because you have the main women's title and you have the TBS title with Mercedes, and you have all these women, and I like just about everybody that was in this match. There's nobody I didn't like. I mean, there's nobody like I don't like when I say just about everybody. I mean, I like everybody. Julia Hart, Sky Blue. Julia Hart, you know, she had an amazing rise. With House of Black, that character was just, you know, I I always say, like, we always looked to Bray Wyatt to be the new Undertaker. It was Julia Hart. Um, um, and like the idea of the mist turning people, changing people one way or the other, slowly. I've always loved that. I love that. I love that dynamic with just about everybody, right? When you have this thing and something happens and you change. So Sky Blue turning because of the mist and her becoming, you know, now her little wicked sister kind of thing. It's really cool. And then here comes Tekla, who oddly just fits. I'm with it. I am all the way with it. Not mad at all. Not mad at all. Um, Megan Bayne, of course, is still Megan Bayne. They're pushing, you know, they're pushing her to the moon. Um, Harley's back. I love Harley's ascension. Um, she's super talented, super funny, super entertaining, and in the ring, she's gotten a whole lot better. I, you know, I love being able to see the improvement in people, actually happening week after week after week, and like, oh, you're getting better. Oh, you added this in the game. You added this. You added that. I love seeing that be a thing. So that's always good. Uh, stat this stat and Willow thing, I don't know what's happening here. There's a lot of different angles here because like there's Stat and there's Willow, and Willow don't really mess with Stat, but Stat wants Willow to be her friend again, but she's also frustrated because Willow won't give her the time of day. But then Harley's back, and Harley was teaming up with TJ, but now they're not doing that for some reason because I don't know where TJ is. So now she's teaming up with Stat, and they're doing like this weird kind of thing. So Stat's fun again, I guess, even though she was hinting at heel. And in the midst of all that, you got the Death Riders who are maybe trying to recruit Stat. I'm not really sure what any of this is going. However, with this match, what I do think is happening here, I definitely believe we are on the road to, if we're not, what in the hell is Tony thinking? We are definitely on the road to the first ever women's blood and guts match. The teams are right there. And how many more times can Tekla and Aminata beat the shit out of each other before we do this, right? Speaking of, I, I'm waiting for the ascension of Aminata. I don't know what Tony's waiting on, but I am waiting on the ascension of Amanada because she's there, bad. She needs more wins. She needs more wins on TV. They've done a good job of making her like matter because even though she loses a lot, and you see her like lose a lot, like you don't really see her get a lot of wins. This Tekla feud has kind of been one sided, even though you know it's been kind of what it is. Like maybe in tag matches she gets some wins, but like for the most part, um, she usually loses a lot. However, they've done a good job of, even though she loses a lot, it doesn't feel like she loses a lot because they are feuding so much, and it doesn't feel one sided. At least in terms of like when I think of this feud, I'm like, well, she's hanging in there. They're making her look like a big deal, even though she doesn't really win in the end. So I'm not even sure how they've managed to do that, but they've done it, and they've done a good job. They did a good job at it. Women's blood and guts. I think Triangle of Madness, Megan Bayne, and Penelope Ford. That team definitely is already um, pretty much there. They're already working together. They already, have a lot going on together. The babyface team feels like a kind of a slam dunk. I think it's these four, and actually there's a fifth in there. And I guess I won't spoil this because there's nowhere in there I could put it in. But later in the show, they kind of went to Tekla and um, Amanada beefing again, fighting throughout the arena and backstage out into the arena. Outcomes, I think, either it was the rest of the Triangle of Madness. I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was. And who comes back? One Jamie Hayter. And remember, kayfabe, Tekla is the reason that Jamie Hayter was out, and they were supposed to feud to begin with, right? But Jamie Hayter was injured. Um, so I think that's the fifth. I would have went with like TJ and Anna J or TJ because Tay, yeah, with TJ, especially because they have a history of those types of matches. The entire idea of blood and guts um, was kind of exemplified with TJ. But I guess they're off TV right now, and somehow not in here. I definitely think they should have been in on that team in this match. But it looks like it'll probably be that same team: Harley, Stat, Aminato, Willow, and Jamie Hayter versus Triangle of Madness and Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. Um, do it. Give me what I want. Give me what I want, Tony. Give me what I want. Okay. Moving on. We had the Ops defeated the Bullet Club War Dogs. Um, you had to have your Forbidden Door kind of stuff. This show was probably the least Forbidden Door of all the Forbidden Door shows, but that's okay, right? I never was like stuck on. Oh, this needs to be more Forbidden Door. I don't care. I don't care. Give me a bomb show because I'd much rather you give me a bomb show than just try to shoehorn some stuff um, into a show that doesn't even you know just for the sake to say, oh, we did Forbidden Door stuff. Now, give me a good show. Give me a good, because a couple of these shows, a couple of the Forbidden Doors that they've had have kind of been that, have kind of been like, we're doing this New Japan thing because it's the same argument that I had with like the thing pay per views from WWE. I said we're not gonna talk about them, but I'm using them for comparison. I don't want Hell in a Cell just because it's October. Give it to me when it matters to the feud. Give it to me when it makes sense. So even though this time they could have done that with some matches, but they didn't, and it's okay. Um, so it's fine. I had no problem here at all. So I don't really actually really have much to say about this match. The ops are cool. I don't know much about the Bullet Club War Dog. I kind of keep up to what other people say. But the fact that Bullet Club is still around is amazing to me, and still fairly successful. Mind-boggling, mind-boggling. The ops are dope. They did what they do. Joe is Joe. Hobbs is Hobbs. Shibata is a freak of nature. I do wonder what's going on with Hook, or if we're going to address that, because I feel like we should. I really think Hook should be back with the ops. There is a piece of that act that is missing with Hook. I used to love the backstage interactions, the whole thing of like Shibata's holding the camera and they're walking to wherever they're going, and you got Joe and Hook just kind of casually just having random conversation before they go kick somebody's ass. Love that. That is missing, and I hope that we can get back to that. Um, Again, that's something that's been missing. I don't know if you could do it with Hobbs. It wouldn't be the same because Hook, because of the difference that we hadn't heard much from Hook. We hadn't heard Hook talk. We hadn't heard Hook really be there. So that showed a little bit of his personality. Um, I really miss that. I wish we could get that back, and I don't know if we will. Um, so hoping for the best there. Again, the Ops win. Of course they did. I think it's not time for them to drop the titles yet, but they have some contenders. Um, and as I mentioned earlier, Gates of Agony and Ricochet, I think they should be the one. I really do. Um, Again, there's some other contenders, but I think they're probably right now the top trio that I would love to see have those titles. Because Ricochet hadn't had any gold yet. I think that would definitely be like a good stepping stone for him to go forward with. That's a good thing. So now we're on to the main show, and here we go, baby. We kicked off with a bang. We kicked off with the reunion of the artist formerly known as Edge and I guess you say the artist currently known as Christian Cage, taking on Luchasaurus. I'm not calling him Kill Switch. I don't like that. Luchasaurus and Kip Sabian. Um, Good match. Great match. Good to see. It just was dope to see Cope and Christian back together for the first time in like over 20 years. I think it was maybe, or at least 20 years. Um, when was that? If that long, it might have been. It may it may not have been that long. So do not quote me there. Oh, may not have been that long, so do not quote me. Um, but love to see them back together. Nick Wayne is hurt. Luchasaurus, the perfect person to uh, fill in here. It makes perfectly good sense. And if the other thing that people have been speculating plays out, I think that makes just as much sense. So we'll see where that goes. I won't even say no spoilers here yet. Right? Um, they win with like this pop up spear. Christian pops him up into Christian pops up Kip Sabian into a spear from Edge. Great finish. Kind of one of those things you want to like, why weren't you doing this the whole time? There were plenty of ways you could have done that. There are plenty of things they could have done. They never really had. I heard if you follow Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp mentioned that they never really had a specific like big tag team finish, and it could have been something like that. I don't know why they. I agree. It definitely could have been something like that. This is going exactly the way I figured it would, more or less. I thought it would have got there sooner. Well, I thought it would have started sooner and bubbled and marinated a little bit more than it has. It does kind of sometimes feel like they're kind of just rushing through for the sake of rushing through. However, I don't care. We know where as much as we as people and can complain about, oh, it seems like we're rushing to get here. Oh, it seems like we're trying to get here too fast. As much as we say that, at the same time, we know where we're going. Let's just do it. We know where we're going. Let's just do it. Let's get it out of the way. No need of trying to They didn't marry and they let's do it. Let's do the thing. We know the thing is coming. Let's do the thing. So glad they got that. Um, I will jump forward a little bit with them. Well, no, I won't. No, I won't. I'll wait because there's more in the show. Moving on. Kyle Fletcher defeated Hiromu Takahashi. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even really see most of this match. I fell asleep because it was early, right? It was early in the day, and I actually not too long woke up, and I want to say maybe I ate before that. And if I eat anything, I'm going to sleep. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, so I fell asleep. I missed most of the match. I'll go back and watch it. I will go back and watch it because I've heard good things. I know Kyle Fletcher knocks it out of the park. I know Takahashi knocks it out of the park. So I'm sure they had a banger. And I will go back and watch it, but I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed. So ashamed. Moving on. Next, we had Mercedes Moné in a fatal four-way. They don't call it fatal, they just call it a four-way match. But with Alex Windsor. Sidebar. So I was in the mall today, and I saw somebody carrying a bag from the store, Windsor. And wrestling brain me, I see the bag, and I just go, Windsor! It's great. Windsor! That's great. I love it. I fucking love it. It's going to catch on. I love it. So Alex Windsor. Sorry, I did it again. Bozilla and Persephone. I've never seen Bozilla before. I've heard of Persephone, but I hadn't seen her. I'm very impressed. I want to see more of Bozilla. You know, the Hoss girls, Hossettes. Is that what we call them? Hossettes. The Megan Baines, the Stats. I don't know where Camille is. Where is Camille? That's a story for another time. Actually, I don't know where they would put him, but she could come back because I know why she was gone. And yeah, so keep an eye on that. But Bozilla was a beat. Like they, in the same way that Mercedes made Stephanie Vaquer, what did Naomi say? Vaquer. Um, in the same way that they made her in WWE came knocking, I think they did the same thing for Bozilla here. Made her look like $1,000,000. Just tossing people around, just straight powerhouse. She did a moonsault at one point, like Hall set, loved it. Alex Windsor, of course, doing her own thing. Persephone, who I hadn't seen, I was impressed by her as well, and what she brought to the table here. It was an all around good match. They all brought it. Of course, Mercedes comes out with the dub because, of course, she would. I do think it may be time to take the title off of her. I'm not sure who you would put it on. I mean, a case could be made for Alex Windsor because I don't know who else you're building. I mean, it could be. There are people who could do it. Um, I would like Amanada perhaps to be the one to do it and make that her next ascension thing. Um, there are a lot in that entire field for what I would say could be the blood and guts match. I think anybody in there could be right there behind um, to take that title off of Mercedes. But I would rather it be somebody who hasn't had it before. Few ladies in there in that mix have already had the title. Julia, uh, Stat, Willow. So I would like it to be somebody who hasn't, like I said, maybe a Megan Bain or a Amanada, even a Harley. Harley's had her match already, but even Harley, I think that would be a good look too. Um, so either of those, I think, would be the next move to take that title off of Mercedes. Quick fast forward to Dynamite. She just had a celebration on Dynamite. She called out Alex Windsor, so I'm pretty sure we're still going to keep forward with that, which is why I think perhaps it could be Alex Windsor, but I think like she's too new, and there are people um who could use that more, right? That have been there for a while. So maybe that's the match for All Out. We get a one-on-one with Mercedes and Alex Windsor, and it's gonna be a great match. Most of Mercedes matches, all Mercedes matches, really, pretty much, are great matches. Windsor's super dope as well, so they're gonna have a great one-on-one. I would still bank on Mercedes winning, even though this is not the direction that I thought we were going after All In. I thought that losing to Tony would be the beginning of the spiral um, for Mercedes, and it wasn't. She's actually won more titles, 2 more titles since then, if I'm not mistaken. So um, I think it's coming soon. It has to start coming soon, but I'm not sure when. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Nigel McGuinness. I have to admit, I was very wrong about my prediction here. I didn't make a lot of predictions prior to the show. I kind of just chose to watch and be, entertained, sports entertained. But I don't know what's going on with Daniel Garcia and this kind of losing skid kind of thing that he seems to be on, and his facial expressions, and he's so emotional because he's losing matches, I guess. So I don't know what's going on there, but Nigel McGuinness comes out. Danny comes out behind him, and Danny has a towel around his neck. And I immediately thought, oh, they've choreographed the end of this match. They have spoiled the end of the match already because because Danny has a towel. Something's gonna happen. Zack Sabre Jr. is gonna get him in a submission. Danny's gonna throw the towel in. That's gonna be the match. Nigel isn't gonna tap or anything. It's gonna be that, and then maybe we're getting the Nigel Danny Garcia. Not what happened. Not what happened at all. And then I thought, well, we're still gonna get like a Danny turn, right? Um, Nigel and Zack Sabre Jr. have a technical masterpiece, basically, with Daniel Bryan on commentary, which is all you need in life. Um, so essentially, Zack Sabre Jr. just kind of ends up rolling them up, catching them with a pin, 1, 2, 3, boom, quick pin, and that's it. Um, and then there's this moment where Tony Schiavone gets in the ring, and then Danny's in the ring, and he's kind of consoling Nigel, and it just looks like it's coming, but it never comes. It was a little weird. It was a little weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a little strange. Um, and again, I don't know. I feel like we're getting ready to do the Danny Garcia turn, but are we? I don't know. I don't know. Getting weird out here. Getting weird. No gimmick infringement. I'm sorry. Moving on. Bro Dito win the tag team titles, beating the Hurt Syndicate and FTR. I actually kind of thought they would, but I didn't think they would. It's the best way I can put that. Brodito is hot, and their move set, the way they gel, the way they put their move set together, is absolutely fascinating to me. Um, it's like that big man, little man, not even little, but high flyer thing is it just works. It works every time. Every single time it works. Um, and they're doing the thing. They did the thing, man. Hurt Syndicate had to lose. They did not get pinned. They were taken out of the match by the Gates of Agony and Ricochet, which goes back to the thing I said earlier from the pre-show about Ricochet and this character and how he did a promo for social media afterwards, stating how the reason he attacked the Hurt Syndicate was because of how they treated him uh, when they first arrived, and he thought he would be a member. That is long-term storytelling for your ass. Cause he's like, I ain't forget, and now I got my guys, and we finna beat. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's how you do that. Long-term storytelling. We talk about it all the time. WWE didn't do storytelling. Yes, they do. You just gotta pay attention. You just gotta pay attention. That was dope. That was dope. Good on Brody though for the win. I figured we were doing the FTR Cope and Christian thing for All Out. I figured that was always the destination. Actually, I figured we were doing that for All In, but that's neither here nor there. But we're doing it for All Out, which makes more sense because they'll be in Toronto. So, of course. So I never thought that needed the tag team championships. So I'm glad that we're not doing that. It just needs to be what it is, and we put the tag titles on Brodito, and then we move forward with them. So I think that's cool. A good way to do that. And this was a great match. This was just a great match. But of course it was, right? It's FTR, it's Hurt Syndicate, it's Brodito. It had no choice but to be great. The same can be said for this next match. Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland. Listen, besides Swerve and Kenny, this is one of those matches that when you hear about it, it's like, ooh, yes, hook it up, pump that into my veins. Especially for this unified championship, which is supposed to be like the 1A world title, basically. Yes, hook me up and pump that directly into my veins. Give me that. All of that. Give it to me. Give it to me now. Give it to me. This match did not disappoint. Swerve is my, as I've said before in last week's episode, Swerve is my current favorite male wrestler. And I've never had to make that classification before, but because Bianca is Bianca, Swerve is my current favorite male wrestler. Everything, like, again, to watch that Ascension, right? Love it, love it, love it, love it. He comes out in the Mr. Terrific style gear from the Superman movie, and they put on a classic. I won't call it a classic because that's hyperbole probably, but they put on a really great match. They targeted Okada. They pretty much made the big deal about Swerve's knee that they've mentioned over the last couple of weeks that just kind of came out of nowhere. And so that played into the finish. But just it's too heavy hitters, man. It's too OG. Like they can run this back in like a main event type setting, and it can be easily be a 5-star, easily 5-star, easily. So after the match, Okada wins with the Rainmaker. After the match, he attacks Swerve, attacks his knee. So of course we're writing him off because he has to go away and have surgery. And I'm probably gonna talk about that too. And Nana comes out, makes the save, chases off Okada with a pipe, and we get another return. Big Wardlow returns and attacks Nana. And what does he do? The same thing everyone does now. Join the Don Callis family. What? OP, man. OP. And then Takeshita comes out and now they're OP, but they're probably about to lose at least one person. Takeshita's leaving. He's sick of this shit. Okay, Takeshita's out of here. He won the G1. Okada's here. He's like, I can beat you. You ain't nobody, bruh. So that's definitely happening. I I I put money on that one. Timeless Tony Storm versus Athena. Hey, look, I never thought Athena was losing. I'm sorry, I never thought Tony Storm was losing. But Athena beat the shit out of Tony Storm throughout this match. Um, like my recollection is Athena is handling Tony Storm. I'm gonna be honest again. I fell asleep at another point in the show, and it may have been at a portion of this match, but I saw most of it. I saw most of it. If it was this one, I think it was. I saw most of it. Stop judging. Stop judging me. I'm old, okay, and I don't sleep a lot. But again, this was a great match as well. Of course, it would be. Tony Storm's amazing. She made Athena tap by reversing the O face into her crossface chicken wing, which is such a. It doesn't seem like it, but it's such a move that fits the character because it's kind of old timey. Because it's tied to like Bob Backlund. It's the first person I think about when I think about the crossface chicken wing. And he's definitely of another era. So, good win by Tony. Of course, it was. This was her. This was Athena's, quote unquote, cash in for her Casino Gauntlet contract, and she failed. Um, so there's like a. Was there one last year? I don't think there was a women's one last year. There was a men's. I don't think there was. I have to look at that. So there's like no, there wasn't. So they're 0-2 on the cash ins. Interesting. World Heavyweight Champion match: Hangman Adam Page versus MJF. This was overbooked goodness for me. Like, and yet none of the things happened that I would have liked to happen. But it was still a good match. Still a really good match. What I would have liked to happen, and it seems they're going in a different direction with this altogether. What I would have liked to have happened would have been for Hangman's in the ring, MJF's in the ring, the bell rings, out comes Mark Briscoe. And he looks like he's going to attack MJF, get Hangman disqualified, and Hangman loses the title. But instead, he hits Hangman and gets MJF disqualified. And like Hangman's probably down, not down, but he's off to the side. Because Mark just hit him. And then you see Hangman probably just go. Now, MJF's disqualified, and if he wants this title match, he has to cash in the contract. And then that's how you do that thing. But apparently, we're gonna ride this out. They didn't do that thing. Mark Briscoe did come out and distract MJF a little bit. MJF tried all his old tricks, low blows, using the ring, using the contract, exposed turnbuckles. He tried everything. Nothing worked. Hangman, buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3. Still your champ. Hangman Adam Page. Again, I said I wasn't gonna do like a review show, but here I am doing a review show. This is the thing that I wanted to talk about. I probably should have just talked about this the whole time because this is the thing I actually care about the most. My favorite genre in wrestling since 2019 is just the big, violent, bloody, silly, ridiculous, over the top AEW train wreck match. I love them. Every single one, I love them. Stadium Stampede, and they're creating in the arena. Texas Death Match, unsanctioned cage matches. You name it, I love it. Blood and guts. Give me all of that. You know what I wish? I wish we still had DVDs. I wish we still had DVDs because I wish someone would make me a DVD of these matches. Like the way, like I could pull one now because my collection's right over there. The way we used to have, like, oh, ladder match, oh, the bloodiest matches in ECW history, all those things. No, give me the AEW cluster fuck DVD. Give me that. Okay, that's what I need, and I want, again, Anarchy in the Arena, Stadium Stampede. I want uh, Texas Death Matches. I want it all. This match, the Lights Out Steel Cage, there were literally points in this match that I had my eyes closed. Not because I was asleep, but because, oh, don't do that. No, don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. That was me. Literally me. Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Darby Allin, Tanahashi, Will Ospreay versus the Death Riders, of course, Mox, Claudio, Gay Kid, and the Bucks. Again, just everything I love, everything I need. I'm here for it. The way this was, the big question was like, how are you going to have all these people in a cage? Man, well, like, because you're thinking regular cage. This wasn't that. It was, the cage was basically surrounding the ring, and it was all the way out to like the barricade, so you could barely even get they could barely even get around it. There's probably just enough room to kind of squeeze in between to get where you're going. Um, that played. It was pretty much the entirety of the ringside area, so that played into a lot of spots, and it was all from the ring, so they had room to work outside, kind of like a Hell in a Cell almost. Of course, Will Ospreay jumped off the cage. Of course, Darby Allin jumped off the cage. Duh. Tanahashi tries to jump off. Listen. Again, I don't follow New Japan all that much. The most I know about New Japan, I know through other people, right? And I know this is Tanahashi's last year. And I am so thankful that this is his last year. Because my man ain't got no knees. My man's ain't got no knees. He does not have knees. Not bad knees. He doesn't have them. Him walking looks like it hurts. And he, bless his heart, he's trying so hard. Still entertaining. But yeah, man, it's time. It should have been time. It should have been time. We didn't even need a tour. You could have just said, you know, I'm going to hang it up because I ain't got no knees. I'm going to hang it up because I don't have any knees. But I love that they took that and created a spot out of it, because everything's happening in the match. And Tanahashi goes to get a chair, not chair, a ladder, and he's climbing the ladder. And Kota Ibushi and Will, the whole team is like, no, you don't have knees, no. And they pull him off the ladder before he can get dangerous. I love when you take the thing that you expect and then we kind of circumvent it a little bit. I love stuff like, I love those kind of moments. The spot in question that made me go, no, don't do that now, is they duct tape Darby to a chair. And at some point, something happened to Darby's ear. I'm not sure what happened. But he was bleeding from the ear, and he kept kind of checking it, which is also strange, because why was he? For him to be who he is, he didn't do that kind of thing. So him checking it was kind of strange. He's steadily checking his ears bleeding. I don't even know what Mox is doing with this fork in Darby's ear. Because again, I couldn't even watch. No, don't do that. Whatever you're doing, stop. It's gross. No, no, stop it. Too much. And I'm here for the blood and guts, but that, no, too much. Too much. Do it though. Don't stop doing it. But I just can't watch. I just can't watch too much. Oh, Darby's a. What's wrong with Darby? See, this is the thing about Darby and Mox. Because I knew those matches were going to be insane because Darby's insane and Mox is insane. So why wouldn't they have an insane match? They're going to die. One of them is going to die. You put them in a Texas death match, one of them will die because Darby's like, yeah, I could die. That's no big. Yeah, I could die. And Mox is definitely willing to die or kill or die or kill. Because why not? Right? These people are insane. Both of these men are insane. So there's so many weapons. There are tables. There's chairs. Another fun spot. Earlier in the show, the Bucks, probably didn't even in the pre-show, the Bucks run into sound guy or production assistant or whatever. He tells them to play, make sure they play their music, their original theme song, and they get their pyro. And here, take this bag, fill it up with thumbtacks and nails and glass, and put it under the ring. So first of all, when the Bucks come out, they come out to their original theme song, which was bop, 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 doobie bop, bop, bop. On the floor, laughing. On the floor, laughing. Me. Okay. So we get to the spot where they're under the ring. They're going to get this bag of thumbtacks and glass and nails. And it's gummy bears. It's gummy bears. I love it. I loved it. And they treated the gummy bears like thumbtacks. It was great. It was great. And anybody who says these are still stuff, Booker T again. It's really stuff like the gummy bears is why I can't watch AEW. Well, no, we don't care. But that's for me and my tribe. We're here for the gummy bears, okay? For the gummy bears, that's fine. We get Kenny and Will Ospreay working together. They hit this hidden blade angel move after Darby takes Gabe Kidd on his back, falls off the cage through a stack of tables. At some point, I looked outside and I said, "Why is there a stack of tables right there? That means somebody's gonna die. Somebody's gonna die." From the top of the cage with Gabe Kidd on his back, just through 4 tables. It was Darby wants to die. Darby wants to die, and he will take people with him. He doesn't mind. Um, Ultimately, Osprey I want to say Kenny may have got no Tanahashi got the win. Tanahashi got the pin. They gave him his moment. They hit that one winged hidden blade combo thing, and Tanahashi with his non-knees hits the low fly blow because it's not high, not a high fly or high. It's not. It's low because man ain't got no knees. You know how Mexican got on boots? Man's ain't got no knees. Okay. Um, so after the match, Death Riders attack Will, who's having his moment in the ring in his home country, and basically Moxley gives him like 10 Death Riders in a row. Is it Death Riders? That's the name of the move. Yeah, gives him 10 of them in a row. Paradigm shift, not Death Riders. They're two different moves. Gives him like 10 paradigm shifts, and then they do the chair thing that they do to everybody when they put them out there. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't have. We can talk about that another day. That thing doesn't hurt. And I know it's not probably supposed to, but like it doesn't even look like it does. You put the chair, like maybe a little bit. The way you put the chair and then you step on the back of the chair, and like I mean, maybe a little bit, but not really. What are you doing? It doesn't even. It's not. There's no fulcrum. Whatever. But of course, that means that we're writing off Will Ospreay as well. So um, that kind of sucks for AEW as well. But this match was everything I needed it to be. It's Texas Death on steroids. It's blood and guts without the double cage thing because we didn't need that. It was great. I loved every minute of it. Um, Pump that into my veins. Pump it in there. Give me more. I'm gonna brush through Dynamite real quick. Again, I don't even know if I should do a. I won't. I won't do a full recap. I'll just hit some of the highlights because again, this is running kind of long. And I didn't intend to even do this way. But we got Cope and Cage, CNC as they call themselves. Um, Finally going ahead and making the challenge to FTR. Like I said, we're fast tracking for All Out. We're fast tracking, so they go ahead and make the challenge. It's official. CNC versus FTR All Out in Toronto. Can't wait. Go ahead and if what I think or what if what they have said is going to happen, I definitely can't wait because that means it's going to be on HBO Max instead of me having to go to Prime to get it. Can't wait. Um, Mox and Daniel Garcia had a really good match. Mox wins. Daniel takes him to the edge. Mox wins by that much. Um, and then there's this weird thing afterwards where like Mox is I don't know if they were arguing or Mox was trying to recruit him. I'm not sure what happened. It looked like a recruitment, and Daniel Garcia was like, "Man, get that shit off my face." So not sure what happened there. Um, Stad and Harley beat Megan Bang and Penelope Ford. Another good tag team match. Had some really cool spots in there that I had never seen before. And then, like I said, Stat and Harley win. There's kind of a brawl afterwards between the four, and then Willow comes out of nowhere at this really odd time. Not sure what happened there, but okay, whatever. Um, Don Callis family, they had another one of those eight man matches where uh, the Don Callis family wins. That's kind of neither here nor there, right? Hangman comes out, cut the promo. Don Callis comes out and said, "Oh, one of my guys is going to take the title." They try to jump him. Kenny comes out and makes the save, which was wild. Um, if you know the history, you know the history. So that was cool. And they actually end up hitting the buckshot V trigger thing that they were doing that they did as a tag team. So super dope. Um, the Ops, as I mentioned earlier, beat Ricochet in Gates of Agony after Bobby Lashley cracked Ricochet in the back um, with his cane. A little receipt for the night before with Ricochet, Costa, and Hurt Syndicate, the tag titles. Um, and then Hurt Syndicate comes out and then they brawl with GOA. So we're definitely heading towards something with them, probably again at All Out. Should be a 6 man. I think it should be a 6 man. Get MVP in there because he's only had a couple of matches, if that many in AEW. Get him in there. Get him in there. In the main event, Darby and Claudio had a false count anywhere, and again, pump it to my veins because Darby's insane. Darby will do anything, and I remember, when I knew we were going to be in the ECW arena, I said, "What are we going to do to get a good ECW callback?" And then it's of course it's going to involve Darby, right? Um, Darby climbs this pillar and does a coffin drop off of it. There's a spot like Claudio body slammed him through a TV. I've never seen that. He put him in a shopping cart and just launched him into a row of chairs, and the spot of the match, he press slams Darby from the ring, from inside the ring, to the announce table with ease. Because of course Darby's tiny and Claudio's a freak of nature. Just tosses him with ease. And it's like, Darby, do you want to die? And the answer probably is like, maybe. Like, Darby's not human. Darby's not human. He's not human. He's like a tiny Mick Foley. And I think it's a little more effective because he's tiny and wiry, and it looks like you just broke him in half. And yet you don't. He just gets up, it's like a rubber band, he just gets up. And then eventually he beats you. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Darby's dope though, man. Darby's dope. I so it looks like we're doing Darby. Darby had this really cool promo. So it looks like we're doing Darby versus Mox. Um, Darby had this really cool promo about uh, climbing Everest, seeing the bodies, and people telling him, don't climb this mountain unless you're willing to die for it, and that is insane. Okay, I think my overall thing that I take away from all of this is that AEW is in a bit of a pickle right now when it comes to their men's division, their top stars. Kenny is in a bad way, but he's back for now, I guess. But Kenny's in a bad way. Swerve is out for a minute if he's going to have surgery on this meniscus. Osprey is going to be out for a minute if he's going to be out with this neck back issue. I think it was his neck. So that's not, Eddie's out. Though I think Eddie's close to a returner. OC, Orange Cassidy's out. I think Orange Cassidy's close to a return. But neither of those two, maybe Orange, maybe both, actually. I don't think neither of those are on the level of a Swerve and a Osprey. But maybe they are. Maybe they are. I think the thing now, though, is there's an opportunity because I don't think it's a problem. I think it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to put to catapult some guys to your maybe not the main event, but you kind of need it because a lot of the guys that Hangman could have faced, I mean, they're baby faces, right? But you still could have had those matches at some point in time. Um, Hangman needs challengers. You have to start building some. You got to start building a lot of people, heels and baby faces. I have no idea if anybody from the Don Callis family is actually going to challenge Hangman for that title, and who would even make sense. Um, I heard Meltzer earlier talking about how AEW needs to book to counter WrestlePalooza that WWE's running because they're probably going to run Brock versus Cena. Um, I don't think that's the case, but if it is, I don't know. Like I feel like that would be throwing a huge match together just because WWE is doing what they're going to do, and I think that's bullshit that they're doing that to begin with. But again, we're not talking about them. And B, I don't know if that's how Tony Khan should book this. I think he should just book it to do what he was going to do and make the story work. Um, so stick to your guns, Tony. Stick to your guns. Fuck WWE for what they doing. Point blank and period. Um, all in all, man, this was a great week of wrestling for AEW. I will give a brief mention to the other company. Listen, and I want to make sure I say this because I know how tribalism can be. Because I had a question on another podcast that I gave that I posed to somebody, and I don't think they were saying that I was being tribalist, but I think they were just mentioning tribalism, and it's kind of like, I'm not really doing that. But the question I posed was about Triple H booking and how it went from being this A1 WWE's on fire and AEW's not competition to all of a sudden now his booking is pretty much lazy. And rather than get better, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put AEW out of business. How do we get there? Um, I don't know how we got there, but I feel like that's definitely where we are. And I think AEW should say, you know what, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing, you know, and that's what I want, and that's what I want him to do. Um, book like you've been booking, keep your stories intact. You know, don't try to hot shot something to compete with the fact that they are trying to compete with you. Screw WWE for that. Um, Team AEW all day over here. But again, Forbidden Door was a great pay per view. This Dynamite was dope. Um, pretty sure the Collision will be dope. I don't know if I'm going or not. I don't know if I'm going to go to Philly or not in the next couple of weeks. I am very fly by the seat of my pants, so it's possible. It's possible. Um, you know, good things are happening in AEW. I'm hoping that we're getting Blood and Guts in the next month or two or so. I feel like they normally have had it by now, but maybe it'll be a little later. And I don't know where. I would have. I mean, no, size wise they couldn't do it. I think doing it in the ECW arena would have been major, but that arena isn't huge to begin with, so you definitely don't want to put two rings and a cage in there. That's gonna be insane, and it's not even big enough. I think height wise probably for that either. So I definitely understand why they wouldn't. Um, so I don't know where we're gonna do Blood and Guts. They haven't even announced. They normally have like announced that kind of thing, but maybe it's a few weeks out. I've attended Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts was in Nashville 2 years ago when Swerve was champ. Um, and how enough that was at all. That was at All In. So they actually had it by now, if I'm not mistaken. So they had it before All In, and I think All In would have been this in the Forbidden Door spot this year. I think they flipped All In and Forbidden Door. So, saying all that to say, not sure when we're getting it, but we should be getting it soon. Um, I may or may not go to these Philly shows, and if I do, I'll be sure to come back and let you know. I may. I don't know. I'm going to take some footage. If I go out, take some footage. May even do the podcast from the hotel after the show. Who knows? Who knows? As if I go. As if I go. Not ruling it out. Also, not ruling out going to Wrestle Dream in St. Louis in October. Um, that's my birthday month, and I have seen AEW on that weekend here in Memphis, actually. Uh, so may make the trip to St. Louis for Wrestle Dream. AEW has not come to the Memphis or the Memphis area all year. WWE only comes once a year, and I think they host for that. AEW's missing that, but you know the problem, and someone told me that if the city shows up, that's when if the city shows up, that's when Tony will make the call to keep coming back. And in WW Memphis is a wrestling town, and it's more of a WWE town because it's that you know that's what wrestling is to a lot of people is WWE. They have good turnout, but with the new strategy to work these smaller buildings, we don't really have one. The only one we have is Lander Center, which is in South Haven. And they ran that a couple of times too. It would have been dope, but they can't do it because everything's all screwed. If they did, Mid-South Coliseum. Oh, legendary. Would have been legendary. But that thing's been closed for decades at this point. So, what are you going to do? Anyway, again, this is starting to run a little long. This is about an hour and a half almost. And not what I wanted to do. But I did want to talk AEW. I could sit here and talk AEW for hours and hours and hours. But I don't want to intimidate you. So, with that being said, we're going to cut this short right now. Next week, we'll probably talk more AEW. Who knows? Again, unless WWE does some more, then we might talk about that. Because there's stuff that we need to talk about WWE, but I just kind of refuse. AEW knocked it out of the park this week. They're the hot hand. Clash in the Castle is coming up. Is it this weekend? I'm not watching it because I'm not getting that ESPN. Is it on ESPN? I don't even know. I think it is. I think this was on the ESPN this weekend. I could have sworn that the WrestlePalooza thing would have been the first, but maybe they're starting it this weekend. I'm not even sure. I don't even care because I'm not watching it. There's nothing on that show that I really want to see. And I'm not doing the whole ESPN deal. So you guys are stuck with me, Mr. AEW Shield. Sorry. That being said, thanks again for tuning in, for listening to me rant, rave, and run down a show that's a week old at this point. But you know what we love to do here, man? We love talking about wrestling. And me personally, love talking about AEW. And that's not to say that I don't like WWE. I actually do. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I love all wrestling that I can get my hands on. I'm not one that seeks out a lot of the other independent stuff, but when it comes to the mainstream stuff, like I said, I was big with TNA when TNA was not a WWE subsidiary like it is now. When TNA was the number 2, I was there for that, and now I'm here for AEW. And I like TNA. I've actually gone to a TNA. I went to a TNA show in 2023 when they came to Memphis. They should come back too. But if AEW's pulling soggy numbers, then you know TNA is. That TNA show was sparse, to say the least. But great show. Naomi was there when she was, a Trinity. Great show. Had a great time. So anyway, again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me rant and rave. Thanks for tuning in to the Black Phoenix Network. Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go check out my other content. Manifesto Mondays, where I break down some of my favorite songs, some of your favorite songs that I've written, that I've performed, that I've created. I break down the lyrics, I break down the stories, things that make the songs what they are. Also, What's Up Wednesdays, my weekly article that I write where I just cover anything, whatever's on my mind that week. Could be politics, could be relationships, could be nothing, could be pop culture, could be movies, who knows? Could be anything. Whatever I'm thinking about covering, that's what I cover. Make sure you check out those articles. I don't know if I should call them articles or op-eds, but they're writings. There's me putting my thoughts and feelings on paper. So if you like to read, I got that for you. And of course, make sure you're here every Saturday for Talking About Wrestling, where all we do is talk about wrestling. Okay. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, tell a mentor, tell your hoe, tell a wrestler. Because I would love to interview some wrestlers. Okay. I would love to interview some of these guys. And I don't care what level. If you got somebody you would like for me to interview, or you would like to see interviewed, if you're a wrestler and you would like to be interviewed yourself, feel free. Hit me up. We can make this happen. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, huh? Take care of your problem, you take care of my problem. We get a little FTR, CNC, patriarchy thing, whatever. Okay? So again, make sure you reach out, leave a comment. You have any suggestions, anything you want me to cover, any kind of countdowns you want me to cover. Eventually, I may do it again. I get more followers, I get more subscribers. I do an Ask Me Anything, grab bag kind of thing. I do more content. I do more wrestling content. I do some paid content. I only grow if you help me grow. So again, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for all your support so far. Thanks for continuing to support, and thanks for the future support. All right. Again, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, engage this podcast. Engagement is how we win, is how we grow. So that being said, once again, I am your host, the untouchable J.R. Atkins. This is Talmbout Rasslin right here on the Black Phoenix Network. 1, 2,